Hi everybody, it's me, Mrs. Gaither, and I'm the librarian here at West Middle. Today I'm going to do a very short how-to video, and the first one, what we're doing is we're making little mini books that you can write in. The first one, you just need a piece of notebook paper, and what you're going to do is fold it in half, fold it in half again, and fold it in half again. So it looks like this, a little tiny folds. And then you're gonna unfold it, and we're gonna spread it out, and we're gonna fold it together long ways so that you can make a cut with a pair of scissors. And we're gonna cut from here to here. This is the inside folded edge right here. And we're just gonna cut halfway across right on that fold so that then you sort of have a hole in the middle of the paper. See, there's a hole there. And you're gonna fold it down like this and then squish it together so it opens like that. And then we're gonna fold all the pages together and it makes a little book that looks like this. It's great because it has all these little lines that you can write on, and it only took a piece of notebook paper. Here's a book that I already did. I like to use colored pencils and markers to do a title page, and then you write on the inside of your book, and you have all these little lines with which to write your story. And the good news is it's a little book, so it can be a very short story. The next book is actually really easy to do too. You need an index card, and you also need some more notebook paper. Now, you could use a ruler to measure if you wanted, but I kind of like to eyeball it, and that means I just look at it to see how much I need. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay my index card on top of the piece of notebook paper, and I am going to cut down like this around the index card, and then I am going to fold all of it in half. Make sure I fold it really good. And then I use a stapler. Hopefully you've got a stapler. I mean, you could glue the pages inside. You could also use a hot glue gun. I don't really like glue guns. I mean, I love them, but I'm always getting my fingers burned by them. But this is really easy to use a stapler. So you just take the stapler and you put two little staples right there, and you create this great little book that you can decorate the cover. And then once again, since I use notebook paper, I've got the perfect little lines to write on the inside. I made these already at home. I only had pink index cards at home. And these are great because you can modify how many pages you want to put in there, and you can use them for all kinds of stuff. I use them to keep track of data. Like I write down like my sugar numbers in the morning and stuff like that, which is really kind of a grown-up, adult, boring thing. But you could make these and use them for little stories, use them for you and your friends, or you could, write a story for your parents and give it to them as a gift. It could be your first little book that you've ever written with your own story in it. But anyway, that's how to make two little mini books that are pretty easy and don't need a lot of materials. Good luck. This one is a little bit more involved than the first two that we did. And so for this one, I like to use regular white copy paper, and then I use some decorative paper so that I can have a decorative cover. And what you do is you just decide how big you want your book, and you take a piece of paper, and this piece of paper will be the same height as your book, and you will fold it like an accordion, like this. And then you will cut your copy paper into little pages, and these pages can be as long as you want or as short as you want. You could do a really long book with pages like this that you're going to maybe draw pictures on, or you could do something shorter like this. But what's interesting about this is this one makes a more authentic book that is very closely resembles what you see on the shelf in the library, because we're going to glue these pages in. So in the valleys of this folded piece of paper, I like to put a little tiny thing of glue down like this. Well, if I can get it like that, and like this, and then I take 2 pieces of paper and I put them inside that little thing, and then I squish it together so that all the glue is holding it in there. Now here's a secret that a lot of people don't tell you. Less glue is better. Did you hear that? Less glue is better. So you don't want to put a whole bunch of globby glue in there. You just put a tiny little line of glue on each side. And then we do the next one. Add the papers, squish it together, and we keep doing it until we get to the very end. Now, however many pages you want is how many little valleys you have in your folded fan here. And then, when you get done with that, you wrap 1 piece of decorative paper around the outside and glue it on. And so here's where I did that. And since it was all wet glue and I wanted it to sit all night, I used binder clips to put on here to hold it closed all night while the glue was drying. Now you might say, hey, Miss Gaither, I don't have any binder clips. Well, maybe you could sit it on something and put a shoe on top. You want this to be really tight because after the glue dries, you want the book to keep its pages. You don't want them to fall out. You don't want them to come undone. And so the next step on this book is to put the cover on. So I would take my glue again, and I would just put some glue here, maybe 2 lines of glue, but once again, tiny lines of glue, not big, chunky, clunky. And then I'm going to put my cover on, and I'll wrap it around. And once again, I'm going to use my binder clips, or if you have a stapler, you could sit it on the stapler like that all night and let it glue, and then you'll have this cute little book that you could put drawings in, or you could mount pictures in there. You could print pictures off of the computer and put them in there, and it makes a nice little book. So there is another mini book that you now know how to make, and maybe you have some ideas for a mini book. But this is one of the things that I love to do. My mom and dad didn't have a lot of extra money when we were growing up, and so my sisters and I became very crafty. We learned how to make things without using a lot of materials. So to make these 3 mini books, you needed notebook paper or plain copy paper. You needed glue, index cards, a stapler, a pair of scissors to trim things, and maybe some binder clips. Now you might see this, I have a little paper cutter here, but I didn't use it. I like to eyeball it and just kind of guess at it. And even after you've made your book, if you have some uneven pages, you can still take the scissors and trim around it to make them all even. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this mini lesson with me, and I hope you come back on another day. Have a good one, and make some mini books, and then write some stories in them.